All right, here is the video for lesson 7.03b, independent practice. Here what we're doing is word problems about system of equations. So let me show you how you do the first one. The first thing we need to do is when you're reading these word problems, you want to make the word problem into a system of equation. You want to write the equation. See, like it is right here. Write the system of equation. And basically what you're looking for is you want to write the equations like y equal mx plus b. That's basically what you want to do. Remember that b is the initial value. That's the b, okay? B is the initial value. How much you started already. If you look, we had two people here. Each person, Sarah and James, is going to have an equation. And it says here that Sarah already has $100. So that means that Sarah equation is going to be y equal, let me write it like this, blank x plus blank. Sarah already has $100. That's my B. And then remember, M is how much is changing, okay, after you started. So you can see that it says here that she saves $20 per week. So every week, her amount that she's saving is changing, and it's changing by 20. So that's why here her equation is going to be 20. Okay. The second equation, let me change it for another color to put red, is for James. So y equal blank x plus blank. Remember, I'm working with y equal mx plus b, where b is the initial value, okay? And m is the slope, okay? The rate of change. So let's find out what happened with James. James already has $200, see? So that means that James' initial value is 200. And how much he's saving every week. If you read, it says that he saves $15 per week. So right there, that's my slope because that's how much is changing every week. $15 every week. Every week is the amount of money that he saved is changing by 15. Okay. Once you have the equations, which you can see I have right here, what you're gonna do is the graph. Okay. So I'm gonna do the first one, y equal 20x plus 100. Let me do this for a second here. I wanna split my screen so you can see the whole thing. There we go. Let me see, I did something wrong here. So I wanna do that. Let me make this bigger. My bad, so I apologize for doing this. Should have set it up from the beginning, but I didn't. Okay, so basically, I'm gonna set up the equation y, I'm gonna graph the equation y equal 20x plus 100. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna click on the point. Who is my B for Sarah? That will be 100. So I'm gonna put a dot on 100 here. So here is 100. And how much is changing? What is the slope? 20, which is 20 over 1, which means I'm going to go 20 up and then 1 to the right. Now, if you're in 100 and you go 20 up, you're going to be in 120, and then you're going to go 1 to the right. And you can see I put the point there. And then you're going to click on the line so you can connect the 2 points. I don't think I click it there. Now, and there is the line. Okay, that blue line belongs to Sarah. Now I'm gonna do James. What was the B value for James? 200. So I'm gonna click on the point. I'm gonna find 200 right here on the y-axis because the B is the y-intercept. And then James, according to the story, is the slope is 15. So what does that mean? I'm gonna go 15 up. Now you go 15 up from 200 is 215. So that's 210 right there. And 215 where I would be right here. And then I go 1 to the right. And then I'm going to connect the 2 points with a straight line. Okay, oops, I didn't press that. Let me do it again. Right there, right there. And you can see, here's the graph of James. So you can see the two lines match the two equation. Okay, now I want to find out, see it says here, be sure to graph both equation. And then it says here, mark the point of intersection. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to like do a little bit of zoom out. And also I'm going to move the graph, the minus, and I move the graph, a little minus more, and I move the graph. Then I'm going to do a plus there. There you go. And you can see that the two lines cross. Where do they cross? They cross right there, see? At 2,500, okay? So that's what that means, and that's how I'm going to check it. You can see I got the graph right. Then the next thing we're going to do, okay, is we're going to use our answer, the graph, and we're going to answer this question. After how many weeks will they have the same amount of money? In case you didn't notice, okay, the x-axis is going to be the amount of weeks that they're saving money. And the y-axis is how much money they have saved, okay? So if you look at the point of intersection here, it says 2,500. It means it took both of them 20 weeks to save the same amount of $500, okay? And that's what I'm going to put here. After 20 weeks, Sarah and James will both have saved $500. And you can see that I got it right, okay? Let's go to the next one. All right, this question number 3, we don't need to figure out the system of equation for the word problem because they already gave it to us. So you can see it right here. These two equations represent this story here. A school is selling tickets for fundraisers. Adult tickets cost $8 each. A student ticket costs $5 each. A total of 50 tickets were sold, generating a $340 revenue. So these two equations is making or is representing this story. And you can see that the two equations is already in the form y equal mx plus b. So let me take a screenshot of this, the word problem, okay? And here we go, like we did before. We're gonna identify who is our M and who is our B. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna start with the first one here. So I'm gonna see for each one, M and B. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna identify who's my M. M, okay, B, I'm sorry, is the initial value. B is the number that we are adding or subtracting to the x in the equation. And that will be the 50, okay? So 50 is being added. So in case you don't realize this, y equal 50 minus x is the same thing. If I write it like this, y equal negative x plus 50. And see, this look like y equal mx plus b. And you can see here the 50 match with the b. So my b is 50. And then my m is going to be the number that is multiplying the x. See, the m is right here on the left side of the x. That will be the negative here. But when you don't see a number, but you see the negative, it means -1. Okay, and I got my slope. And remember, slope is rise over run, so this will be -1 over 1. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the second equation. Okay, I'm going to find out who is my M and my B. Once again, B is 68 because it matched the B and the Y equal mx plus B. So I'm going to put here 68. And M is going to be, as you can see, -8 over 5. So that's what I'm going to have here. And now I'm ready to do the graph. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. Let me make this smaller. And here we go. We're going to put first, let me bring this up a little bit right there. Let's Let's start with the first one. The B is 50. So I'm going to put a dot on 50. And then how much is my M? My M, according to what I did, is -1. So it's -1/1, which basically means, let me move this to the side a little bit, that I'm going to go down 1. So from 50, I'm going to go down 1, which I'm in 49, and I'm going to go 1 to the right. And there is my line, my 2 points to connect with a line. So that blue line that I just did is for the equation y equals 50 minus x. Now I'm going to do the second equation. So B is 68. Okay, I'm going to start with B. So let's go to 68. This is 65 right here. 66, 67, 68. I'm going to click there. Remember, B is the y-intercept. And then my slope is -8/5. So from here, from the point that I put in 65, I'm going to go 8 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And I'm going to go, I think it was 5. I forgot the number. So yeah, 5. So I'm going to have to do it again. So I'm in 68. I'm going to go 8 down. So that means I'm going to be on 60. And then I'm going to go 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where I put my second point. Now I'm going to connect my 2 points with a line. Okay. And there you see the 2 lines. Okay. The first equation is the one in blue. Second equation is the one in red. Now I'm going to have to find out where they meet. See, because they want me to mark the point that represents the solution. So what I like to do is I first move it up. Before I click any plus or minus, I just move it up. And then I press the minus. And I almost got it. I can see it. So what I'm going to do is just going to move it up. And there it is. See, you can see it clearly. I'm going to click on the dot and put the point where the red and the blue line meets, which is at 30/20. And I'm going to check my answer. And you can see I got it right. Okay. Now, using my answer from question number 3, I'm going to answer question number 4. Now, remember, when we did this graph, that's why it's important you read the story. What are these 2 lines showing? These 2 lines are showing you how many tickets were sold for adults and children, okay, or students, I should say, okay, and how much money they made. So basically, the x-axis is how many tickets were sold, okay? And the y-axis is how much money was made from selling those tickets. So when you see the point of intersection here, 30/20, it means that 30 tickets, okay, were sold and $20 were made, okay? Or my bad. You know what? I said it wrong. I apologize. Let me rephrase. The x-axis is how many students were how many students purchase a ticket, and the y-axis is how many adults purchase the ticket. That's what that means. So x-axis, how many students purchase a ticket, and the y-axis, how many adults, because that's what the whole idea is. See, we're talking about adult tickets and student tickets. So my bad, I apologize for that. So when I click here, what does this mean? That 30 students bought tickets that cost the same, or to make $340 of revenue, because that's what they're asking, that 30 students bought tickets and 20 adults bought tickets to make a revenue of $340. So that's what I'm going to put here. So it was 30 for, no, the adults, not the adults. It's 20 for the adults and 30 for the children. If I got it wrong, it's because I put it in the wrong order. Okay, and you can see that I did get it right. All right, let's go one more. Ooh, in fact, I got it wrong, so I put it in the wrong order. So it's the other way around. So the x-axis are 30, the adults, and the y-axis are the children. So let me try this again because you can see I got it wrong. Ooh, my bad. Man, I'm making this video early in the morning, so I'm kind of like my brain is not fully there. So school children, so it will be 30 adults and 20 child tickets. Still got it wrong? Where is it? Give me a second. I don't know, but it took a little while. So yeah, I got it right. Okay, so again, just so I don't confuse you, the x-axis is the adults, the y-axis is the children. See, in the same order it says here. All right, let's go to the next page. Here we go again, that we're gonna have to write the word product as an equation. So let me take a screenshot. We're gonna do the same thing like I did in problem number 1, same thing. Okay, so we're gonna identify, remember, we're gonna write two equations that look like this, y equal mx plus b. Remember, the b is the initial value. The m is the rate of change, how things are changing. Okay, the b is how much you started before it start changing. So we have two companies, okay, who are comparing profits. The first branch, I'm gonna make the equation y equal blank x plus blank. And I'm gonna identify my b, my initial value. Look what it says here. The first branch started with $1,000. So that means that my b is 1,000. That's how much I started. And earns $500 per month. So every month, the amount of money they're making is changing by $500. And that will be my M. Now we're gonna do the second equation. Y equal blank x plus blank. Okay, so again, I'm gonna identify my M and my B. B, the initial value. The second branch started at 3,000, see? So that is gonna be my B. And then the slope, how much is changing every month, the profit is $300 per month. And once you have the equations, then it's a matter of putting B on the graph and using M to get the second point. So let me make this a little bit smaller so I can show you what we're gonna do here. So we're gonna do the graph, okay? The first equation, the first branch, okay? And by the way, here, the X is gonna be the months they are making money. And the Y is the amount of money, the profit, how much money they're making. I have to say that because you remember I made a mistake in the previous problem. So we're gonna start here. So B is 1,000 for the first branch. So let's find 1,000 on the y-axis. And I don't see it, so what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna click the plus minus sign yet. I'm gonna click on the arrow, I'm gonna drag it up. I think it's better that way. There it is. Okay, I'm gonna click on the point and I'm gonna put 1,000. Well, I have 9 right here. Here's 1,000. And I click. Okay, and then my slope is 500. So it's 500 over 1. So it means I'm gonna go 500 up. So if you're in 1,000 and you're going 500 more, that will be 1,500. And then you're gonna go 1 to the right. And then I'm gonna connect my 2 points here. Oops, I didn't click. There we go. Click and click. And you can see I got my first equation I got my first line from the first equation, blue with blue. Now I'm going to do my second equation. My B is 3,000. So again, I'm not going to click the plus minus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the arrow and I'm going to drag this. There's 3,000. I'm going to drag it a little lower there. 3,000. So I'm going to click on the 3,000 right there. That is my B. And then my M is 300. That means I'm going to go 300 up and 1 to the right. If I'm in 3,000, I go 300 up, it's going to be 3,300 and 1 to the right. And there is my second point. Now I can connect it. So here it is. So you can see that my two equations, I did the graph. Now I want to find out where do they meet. Okay. Now is when I use the minus sign, the magnifying glass with a minus sign. I'm zooming out. Now I do it one time. What I do is I'm going to drag this down. And there, you see, I don't need to keep pressing this. Sometimes you only do it once and then just drag up, down, left or right. And you're going to find the graph. And I'm going to click on the point because I want to touch where they meet. And look, where they meet at 10, 6,000. So that means that they need 10 months for both branches to make $6,000. Okay. So that being said, I'm going to check my answer. And you can see I got it right. There's the check mark. And then here is what I'm going to put what I just told you, what the point of intersection means. 6,000 means that after 10 months, okay, both branches will have made $6,000. That's what I'm going to put here. And then I'll check my answer. As you can see, all of these problems are done the same way, okay? So I hope this helps.